Not with the J. No.
We ready?
Almost.
I'll wait till it goes to 4.
Yeah, my son just years ago got hit and knocked out. With his skull, knocked him out. Went to the hospital.
Okay, we're good to start.
It killed him.
Okay, I'd like to call the Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting to order Wednesday, August 16th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Citizens who desire to address the city council board and commission in person with regard to matters on the agenda. Oh, that's not. Do we have any that are here? Okay.
Everybody signed up.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next item. Consideration of an action on the minutes of July 19th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have Director Kurt motion and Director Steve says any second. Director Stewart?
Yes.
Director Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Lane?
Yes.
Kurt? Yes, and I do. The motion carries unanimously. Next item, consideration of an action on amending the fiscal year 2023 budget to projections, adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget and recommendation of the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget to the members of City Council. Justin.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. We're here this afternoon to take the next step in the process of getting the FY24 budget wrapped up. We're going to be taking these actions this afternoon after a brief presentation. Just a few reminders, and again, the items on the agenda this afternoon. We previously workshopped the proposed budget on July 10th with the budget committee, and then on the 19th with the full board. Today, we're going to be asking you to take action on amending the fiscal year 23 budget to projections, and then approving the FY24 budget as the board and making a recommendation to City Council. So just fiscal year 23 in summary, we do have some changes here. As part of the action you'll take on the 23 amended budget, we're going to be recognizing an additional 1.39 million in revenues. That's going to be driven by increased performance in sales taxes and our interest income. On the expenditure side, we're making a slight reduction. This is specifically for the performance agreement related to the First Colony Mall Lifestyle Center. They did not meet the minimum threshold to receive the payment this year, so we're making that adjustment. Net, we're looking at an increase in the ending fund balance of 1.43 million, leaving us with the ending fund balance of 10.37, which is well over policy. Bond coverage ratio of 4.28, also way over policy. The minimum there is 1.25 times coverage. FY24 in summary, some highlights here. We're following our financial management policy of budgeting recurring sales tax collections in 24. Our revenues meet our outstanding debt service requirements. We have a $4 million reserve for opportunity included. We also fund year 4 out of 5 of the Astros AAA agreement. We fund all planned capital projects. And again, that fund balance policy and the bond coverage is way above our minimum requirements. Just a quick summary again on the planned capital projects for FY24. We do have our regularly programmed 200,000 for the joint participation in CIP. We have the 200,000 for the landscape replacement for major roadways enhancements, and then the $2 million for the design portion of the alternate roadway for a total of 2.4 million.
Excuse me, Justin.
Yes.
Director Jacobson has a question.
Yes, sir.
Justin, how did we come up with the 200,000 for the joint CIP?
So that is a good question. Elizabeth, I don't know if you have any history on that. This one does predate me, but it has been the recurring programmed amount. And y'all work to identify the various projects each year.
Can I follow up, please?
Yeah.
So is 200,000 enough to meet all the requests that are submitted, in time?
So every year is different. And you know, when we had COVID, we combined the 200,000 from 2 years together and had 400,000. John's about to present an amazing new program. So, you know, last year we amended and we ended up taking some money and increasing the amount from over 200,000, depending on the projects that come in. So we have some flexibility. We have our reserve for opportunities. So I'm really excited to see John's new program, what comes in, and it's up to the board to decide from there how we fund. But
Thank you.
200,000 has just been the number for years.
It's really the placeholder.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Any questions on the proposed SL4B? All right, so step one, we're going to be taking action on approving the amendment to the fiscal year 23 budget.
So do I have a motion to approve the FY 23 budget to projections?
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have motion with Director Lane and second with Director Ferguson. Director Jacobson,
Yes, aye.
Director
Yes.
Besselzy.
Yes.
Director Hurt, Ferguson, Lane, and I approve also. That motion carries unanimously. Okay, next action, motion on the adoption of the proposed fiscal year 24 budget and recommending that budget FY 24 to City Council. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to adopt proposed fiscal year 24 budget, recommending fiscal year budget to city council.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Director Besselny, motion, Director Kirkhoff, second, Director Ferguson, Director Lane, Director Jacobson, Director
Yes.
Besselny.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Justin.
All right, well, so the next step is going to be taking that recommendation to City Council on the 19th for approval with the rest of the city's budget. And that'll wrap up the process for fiscal year 24. Thank you.
Can I ask one real quick question? On making the approval to projections, is there an amount within that you don't have to approve a projection or a change? You understand my question? Okay, so we had to approve an amended fiscal year 23 amount. Is it within a certain range that you have to approve, or do you have to approve if it's $1 different?
I don't think there's a threshold on it, but essentially if we're going to exceed or change the total appropriation, then we do have to do the amendment. So if it was 10 million, if we do 10 million in one or 9,999, we need to do the amendment.
Okay.
It's not
Thank you.
statutorily required,
Mhm.
but for us, like in building for next year, if we have savings, it's better for us to drop them down to the bottom line so that we can build them into FY 24. And we can help look at our fund balance, our bond coverage ratio and all that kind of stuff. So we take a good look at the existing year every year and go from there.
Yeah, I was just curious around that. Thank you. All right,
All right, thank you, John.
thank you. Next item. Review of and discussion on proposed improvements to the city council policy regarding participation with community-based organizations in the capital improvement projects using SL4B funds. John.
Good afternoon, SL4B board. I'm here today to review with you the proposed program policy improvements to the SL4B Joint Capital Improvement Program policy. In this workshop, I'll recap the existing program as well as the proposed reimagined program and policy changes. In front of you on paper is a summary of the proposed program changes, as well as some supporting documentation. I want to mention that this was brought to the Economic Development Committee, the EDC, a few weeks ago for review, as well as Chair Amy Soul for some initial feedback. And so with that, let's get started with a recap of the SL4B Joint CIP program. This program has been funded by the Sugarland 4B Corporation and provides an opportunity for community-based organizations to enhance the community through public improvement capital projects. This program has been available for homeowner associations, HOAs, property owners associations, POAs, and recognized community groups. The maximum grant award is no more than 50% of eligible project costs, or $75,000. Whichever is less. And annually, in recent years, the program budget has been $200,000. I really wanted to highlight this project from this year to help emphasize why this program is so important to our city. This spotlight is on one trailblazing project from Sugar Creek Property Owners Association, who replaced signs at the Sugar Creek Office Park that were about 45 years old. They emphasized in their application that their signs had a dated look, and I think the modernization of these signs represents the many positive incremental changes that can support the redevelopment of the city. That being said, the Joint CIP program has used 4B Corporation dollars to support redevelopment in a variety of ways, such as replacing perimeter fencing, reviving community areas, and beautifying our neighborhoods and commercial areas. Partnering and incentivizing capital projects can really enhance the community in tangible ways and help empower our neighborhoods and business associations to support the city in redevelopment. Here you might have here's the graphic of the life cycle of the city, which you've probably seen in either the land use plan or some of the city's presentations about our new vision. The city emphasizes the need for the city to reimagine and redevelop. According to this graphic, the redevelopment and growth of the city, path number 2, will involve the rehabilitation and transformation of our infrastructure and the renovation of our neighborhoods. And I think that this program is very connected to that. Now, you're probably asking, why should we change this program? Why should we change the Joint CIP program? This program started in fiscal year 2002, and with the city's trailblazing vision in mind, I think there's an opportunity to make small improvements to the program while also reframing it to meet the new vision of the city. How can we, a question that we should ask is, how can we encourage and incentivize our neighborhoods and POAs to reinvent and reimagine their spaces, be obsessed with community, and partner with the cities on projects that bring belonging, happiness, and fulfillment? Also, on a more practical level, in my experience doing outreach to the HOAs, most people don't recognize what Joint CIP or JCIP even stands for, as it's not a common acronym. So how can we as the SL4B better define this program's name, purpose, and goals to trailblaze and have redevelopment in mind? Right here, I have a short little history of the SL4B's Joint CIP projects. In total, there's been about 42 projects totaling 1.6 million in SL4B contributions to 20 different HOAs, POAs, or recognized community groups. This is equal to approximately 3.6 million in total project costs. And the project types are outlined in the circle graph below. You can see here that locative projects, this means your fencing, your monuments, your signage improvements, projects that help define a location or space has taken up the most amount of contributions, and the highest that we've contributed to, followed by landscaping, and lastly, parks and recreational projects. Now on this slide, you can see the number of projects categorized. As you can see, landscaping has encompassed the largest number of projects during the last 20 plus years of this program's existence, followed by locative, fencing, and street projects. While there's only been 6 projects related to parks and recreation. That being said, I think it's time to trailblaze. How can the city and the SL4B encourage our community partners to complete trailblazing projects? And with that, we have the proposed program and policy improvements. First, I want to talk about the impact and what it means to frame your program. Typically on our program website, we've included pictures of neighborhood walls and landscaping, which is why we probably have only received a certain types of projects in our applications. Last year, as the program administrator, I dedicated a lot of my time and effort to conducting outreach to our HOAs to encourage them to apply for the program with unique and impactful projects that would be both eligible for the program as well as compatible legally with the state statute. And when reaching out to these HOAs, I use Brook Street Bridge. It's one of my favorite projects in town, pictured on the top left as a prime example of how a street improvement can be done more creatively and more impactfully using 4B dollars. As a result of that outreach, many HOAs submitted some really creative and unique project submissions, such as the bike lanes at Edgewater Drive, a project to replace a dilapidated pool with a children's park, which is in progress, and an art tree sculpture. This shows that there's definitely a desire to implement these creative types of projects, and we've definitely gotten this feedback from some of our HOAs as well. To further reinforce that creating framing using your program works, I'll use another city program, Great Homes, as an example. The city here provided a strong vision to homeowners using professionally done home designs, and those homeowners went out and implemented this vision through actual home improvements. So if you frame the way that people are thinking about how to do your program, you can get some really impactful results. So first, for proposed program improvements, I'd like to also include some more imagery about what can be done through the program on the website, but also like make policy improvements to make these kind of projects actually possible. The new proposed program will encourage and incentivize positive and incremental change that you'll see on some of these slides and these pictures. Here we have public art, mosaics, pedestrian improvements, encouraging trailblazing capital projects through street art, pocket parks, and community gardens. A lot of these projects that accomplish the dynamic and fun parts of our city's vision. And finally, I have here encouraging community and culture. That's taken from the city's vision as well, which can be creatively done through partnering with our HOAs and POAs. With that, I'd like to reveal to you the Reimagine Joint CIP program, named the Fostering Unique Neighborhoods Grant Program, the FUN Grant Program. The purpose of this program is through partnerships with our neighborhoods and community groups. The FUN Grant Program exists to empower our community groups, such as our HOAs, POAs, and RCGs, to revitalize and create unique places that reflect the distinct character of each neighborhood or area of commerce. These partnerships will promote economic development and workforce retention and attraction through the transformative power of placemaking, mobility, and beautification that will enhance the quality of life for the community. Some of the program goals can be listed here: to beautify Sugar Land's neighborhoods and areas of commerce, such as the Sugar Land Business Park for the business community, or Sugar Land's office park areas, with lasting public art installations and aesthetic improvements, such as murals, mosaics, modern signage, public art, and wayfinding improvements. Promoting economic development by creating places and quality of life improvements that will help retain and attract Sugar Land's workforce and attract new businesses. Developing public spaces with community amenities, and inviting outdoor spaces by creating new mini parks and green spaces, and preserving and celebrating the distinct character of Sugar Land's single-family neighborhoods. Took that from the land use plan. And finally, innovating with transformative public projects that the city has not seen before. Both of these goals and the program purpose, we don't have these currently with the Joint CIP program. So we wrote this up. Some general grant award information. The mechanics of this grant will stay the same in terms of funding. Applicants can apply for a grant each year from the SL4B of up to 50% of the total project cost, up to a maximum of $75K. All project submissions would be brought to you as a board each year for approval, and an applicant would enter into a reimbursement agreement with the city to complete a project. One thing that's new here in the proposed policy is the SL4B Community Development Project of the Year Award, which would be awarded as an additional reimbursement of up to $7,500 to a program participant who completes an exemplary trailblazing project that is distinguished in accomplishing the program goals that we went over in the last slide. A city staff committee would essentially recommend a award recipient or recipients to the board based on some set scoring criteria based on the goals. And then the board would then approve the recipient of that year's award by the following February. So you'd have a little over a year to complete your project and in order to be considered for the award. And then the winning project would receive a nice little trophy, as well as an additional small reimbursement in the lesser amount of $7,500 or 15% of that total project cost. As for eligibility, same groups right there. Eligible projects, we expanded this a little bit to kind of fit more with the, how do I write it here? To kind of that more projects that fit under the state statute. And so here we've added open space improvements, public art improvements, and all projects must be eligible for 4B dollars under the state statute. We also added a new project minimum of $10,000 in order to ensure that larger projects are being incentivized, but also to make sure that we're not receiving too small of applications or projects that in turn take up a lot of staff administration time and for a reimbursement of only a few $1,000s. More here on the ineligible projects. We added standalone landscaping projects to be considered an ineligible project. Landscaping must substantially accompany another eligible capital project. So for example, if a neighborhood wanted to make capital improvements to their neighborhood entryway sign, we would incentivize the landscaping if it was included with that sign. But landscaping can't be the main project or constitute the majority of the total project cost in a submission. However, this goes to say that the policy also allows the SL4B board to approve standalone landscaping projects in its discretion. For example, if a hurricane or a deep freeze happened and the board wanted to reimburse standalone landscaping in order to help the community recover, you could make that decision as a board. And finally, we added some language on the ineligible projects. So projects that are not accessible to the general public, such as clubhouse improvements or gated improvements, will not be an ineligible project. Almost done here. We expanded the location criteria a little bit too. All projects and related improvements must be located adjacent to or readily visible from a freeway, state highway, arterial road, major collector road, or new here, minor collector road. And the purpose of this, essentially it's all these roads that are visualized here in green and blue on this slide. Should I keep going? Keep going, okay. Reason for the change, it's to increase equitable outcomes by expanding the road criteria. There are some neighborhoods out there in subdivisions that have a harder time applying for this grant right now because they don't have a lot of locations located on major highways or major collector roads. So expanding with to minor collector roads would help that a lot. Also, according to our traffic data that we have on the cars per day on our roads, a lot of these minor collector roads get up to 7,000 cars per day, which can help really prove the economic benefit through quality of life improvements on these well-traveled roads. And finally, by expanding the road criteria, there'll be more opportunities to just implement more community development projects. For example, it may not make sense to build a pocket park next to a highway or major collector road, but it may have a stronger benefit to the overall community by building it on a minor collector road. And so with this, staff recommends that the board would recommend to the city council proposed changes to the city council policy. In September, city council would review and hopefully approve the policy, and grant applications would be heavily marketed and open on October 1st and stay open for about 2 months. And then the project applications to you as the board would go to you as the board in December. And so with that, that's all I have, and I'm happy to take some questions at this time.
Director Lane?
So the prize to win is $7,500, is that right?
At the most.
At
So
the
it'll be the
most.
lesser of 7,500 or 15%.
It has to be on the road. This project, right?
Or a minor collector road. So let me kind of go back to this map. Might be going the wrong way. This map right here shows a lot of the major collector and minor collector roads. There's also a map right behind you as well. The minor collector roads here are the green ones, and essentially the policy would expand it to those green roads, which you could see would expand it to a lot of subdivisions and neighborhoods that might not be able to benefit from the program.
So how are they going to know
If
if they're
they're-
eligible? We're gonna reach out to these.
Of course.
neighborhoods and neighborhoods that they know they're eligible to.
Yes, especially this year with the minor collector road and a lot more neighborhoods being on those minor collector roads. We do a really good job marketing the program to them.
And do we then have a list of those roads?
Yes,
We have
and
a
we
whole
also
list
have a
of
map
those.
of the subdivisions and neighborhoods to layer on top of those roads as well.
Okay.
John, could you just expand on what you did last year in terms of your outreach to the neighborhood associations and
Of
stuff
course.
like that for the applications that we did get? And then also, I think Edgewater is a good example because I believe that was a minor collector and there is some
Oh, yeah.
authority that the board has to make certain decisions. So maybe you could share some of that context.
Of course. Last year, we really took a multifaceted approach to marketing this program. And by multifaceted, I mean, we went out to HOA meetings, we met with those HOA boards, we did email, we did e-blast on our social media. We did a lot of different kind of types of outreach. And one really great thing that happened through that outreach is that we've gotten a lot more, even this year, a lot more organic people or HOAs inquiring with us at the city about, hey, can we do this project on this road? One thing that was challenging about last year was there were some projects that were more challenging and possibly ineligible because of the minor collector road kind of rules that we have currently in our existing policy. One neighborhood, I can't name them specifically, wanted to do like a mural, like a mosaic mural, kind of like Brook Street Bridge on their outside perimeter wall. But because that road was not eligible, we pretty much had to recommend against it. Lakes of Edgewater, their project for bike lanes was located, a majority of it was located on a qualifying road. But you as the board had the authority to kind of I guess, let that one pass, even though not 100% of it was located on an eligible road. But I think that these proposed changes would really help those neighborhoods as well.
Right, Director Lane, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So is this policy indefinite? Or is it just for one budget year?
Indefinite.
Yeah, it would change the overall policy.
And the best part is if there's something that doesn't work, we can always change it back. So.
Oh, that's great.
Other questions? I think we're good on the questions. So what's also nice is we can, which this is something new, but I'm very happy about. We're moving into after workshopping in the same day, going to consideration of an action on the recommendation of proposed changes to a city council policy regarding participation with community-based organizations in capital improvement projects using SL4B corporation funds, and recommending to the mayor and members of city council. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Lane, and a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. Lane, approve, Director Ferguson, second, Director Jacobson.
Aye.
Director Bessesny.
Yes.
Director Kirk.
Yes.
Director Ferguson, Director Lane, and I also approve. Thank you, John.
Great job, John.
Yeah, I like that change. All right, that motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the director's report. Elizabeth.
Good evening or afternoon. Don't have too much to update you on today, but we did have a reporter in town visiting Sugar Land in August 18th through the 20th. And she's going to be going to the Space Cowboys, the Go Ape Zip Line, Adventure Park at Bryce River Park, Department of Wonder, and will also be featured in Finance's 5 to 7 minute Fox 7 segment on Sugar Land in the Austin Travels September issue. So continue to get exposure on TV as well as in print media. And then we also had 4 different social media post requests for the team in July with topics that included our female-owned businesses, Imperial and Lake Point redevelopments, and also Director Devins Rodriguez's nomination as the Female Emerging Leader of the Year and more. So we're really excited to celebrate her next Thursday night.
Yes.
That's all I've got. I hope y'all have a great night.
All right. Do I have a motion to
Motion to adjourn?
adjourn? All right, from Director Lane. All those in favor? Aye. Carries. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, Stephen. That's great.